I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline. The top stories. Cabinet to decide on student discipline and school safety on Friday. And Sabah election set for November 29th. Campaigning starts November 15th. Good morning. We begin with this story. The Cabinet will decide on Friday how it plans to tackle violence in schools as concerns escalate over the spate of violent incidents involving students. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim confirmed that preliminary discussions on the matter were held earlier on Thursday.
Datuk Seri, boleh komen tentang insiden kat sekolah tak? Tikam dan
Isu kita bincang kabinet detail.
Bila bincangnya Datuk Seri?
Tadi saya bincang sedikit dengan menteri dan beberapa orang. Besok kita buat keputusan. Okay.
The Prime Minister was met by reporters after addressing the 2025 ASEAN Energy Ministers Summit. 2 days ago, the nation was shaken by the murder of a 16-year-old schoolgirl allegedly stabbed to death by a 14-year-old male student at a secondary school in Bandar Utama. Well, earlier this month, 4 teenage boys were detained in connection with the rape of a Form 3 student inside a classroom in Alor Gajah, Malacca. Previously, Anwar had pointed out that one of the main weaknesses in the current education system is its heavy emphasis on academic achievement at the expense of nurturing values and moral principles. In the Dewan Rakyat, Education Minister Fadlina Siddiq announced that mental health awareness and a ban on dangerous and prohibited items in schools are among 5 key components of the ministry's immediate education reform plan. The initiative aims to ensure that schools remain a safe space for all students. Other focus areas include comprehensive reproductive and social health education, child protection policies, and enhanced counseling and teacher support systems.
Usaha ini akan menjadi satu usaha intensif dan berterusan dengan kesemua JPN dan PPD dikerah untuk pelaksanaan secara praktikal dan efisien di semua 10,243 sekolah.
Fadlina said the Education Ministry will conduct regular assessments to monitor the effectiveness of these measures, with reviews to be carried out every 15 days. Fadlina, together with her deputy Wong Kah-wo, later visited the Bandar Utama Secondary School to offer moral support to the school community following the tragic incident earlier this week. Their convoy was seen entering the school compound around 11:30 a.m., accompanied by Bandar Utama Assemblyman Jamalia Jamaluddin, who arrived shortly after noon. Also present was Petaling Jaya Deputy District Police Chief Superintendent M. Hussein Solehuddin Zulkifli. Fadlina spent nearly an hour meeting school representatives before leaving the premises at around 12:30 p.m. Meanwhile, at the school gate, more than 30 bouquets of flowers and handwritten notes were seen placed by members of the public as a gesture of sympathy and remembrance for the victim. Passers-by also stopped briefly to pay their respects. The Education Ministry then held a meeting with parents at the school where the tragic incident occurred. The session aimed to strengthen school safety measures and provide psychological and counseling support for affected students. The meeting began around 2:30 p.m. and lasted for about 2 hours, involving parents of students from Form 1 to Form 5, with police personnel present to monitor the situation. However, some parents who were spotted leaving the hall early said the discussion did not address the key concerns they had hoped it would.
Cumanya sebagai parent saya ambil langkah untuk keluar sebab bukan apa yang intipati yang kita as a parent yang nak dengar lah. Sebab bagi konsep untuk minta murid hadir untuk sesi counselling, yes, as a parents kita pun aware.
They emphasized that their presence was not about placing blame, but about seeking clear, decisive action to rebuild their children's sense of safety and confidence.
Datang untuk bagi acknowledge untuk kita macam mana nak control the trauma dan bagi beberapa inilah. Tapi kita tak nak itu sebenarnya. Kita nak tu. Itu mungkin kemudian. Tapi this one kita nak yang yes, betul. Solution lah.
Meanwhile, the victim's family has called for the public to stop spreading misinformation about the incident. The victim's father, Hor Yek Ming, also urged the authorities to ensure schools remain safe for students.
Main thing is hopefully those social media don't mislead the people. Even I got a case that the victim was raped. That's ridiculous. Please stop all this nonsense. And the main thing is, I want an answer from my daughter. What happened, what really happened, she wants to know. So, and hope this thing can stop and then won't happen again. Because school is supposed to be a safe place.
He said this during a press conference at a funeral parlor in Kuala Lumpur, held in conjunction with the victim's wake on Thursday. Hor also denied allegations that the victim knew the suspect, adding that the two had never met or communicated with each other. The victim's family has also lodged a police report over false claims suggesting that one of the victim's uncles is related to the suspect. In the meantime, school authorities only knew that the suspect in the fatal stabbing of a schoolmate in a Bandar Utama school recently had learning difficulties and not mental health issues. Selangor Police Chief Dato' Shazali Kahar dismissed claims that the school was aware of any mental illness involving the suspect.
Pengetahuan tentang masalah memang pihak sekolah mengetahui, tetapi bukan berkaitan dengan insiden ini. Dia adalah masalah tentang personaliti pelajar tersebut dari segi keupayaan belajar dia. Tapi bukan masalah tentang nak tahu kejadian ini berlaku. Itu tidak.
So far, 59 individuals have been called to record their statements in connection with the case. On Wednesday, police revealed that the 14-year-old suspect allegedly harbored feelings for the victim. Preliminary investigations also suggest that emotional stress and social media influence may have contributed to the attack. The case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. Meanwhile, police are also investigating whether video games and certain social media content may have influenced the suspect's actions.
Social media ni ada banyak segmen, ada banyak medium. So beri peluang pada pihak polis untuk menentukan medium social media macam mana yang beliau terpengaruh tersebut. So berkemungkinan itu salah satu dia lah.
The Election Commission has set November 29th as the polling date for the 17th Sabah state election. EC Chairman Datuk Sri Ramlan Harun said nomination day will be held on November 15th, while early voting is set for November 25th. The announcement was made after the Commission held a special meeting in Kota Kinabalu on Thursday.
Bagi menjalankan proses PRU Dewan Undangan Sabah ke-17 ini, SPR telah melantik 25 orang pegawai pengurus pilihan raya dibantu oleh 196 orang penolong pegawai pengurus.
Ramlan also assured that the election process would not disrupt the upcoming Sijo Pelajaran Malaysia examinations, as polling would be held on a Saturday. He added that the EC had taken all logistical factors into consideration and ensured there would be no overlap between polling centres and examination venues. The state election will see 73 seats contested across 25 parliamentary constituencies, involving more than 1.7 million eligible voters. The state election follows the announcement on the dissolution of the Sabah State Assembly on October 6th by Chief Minister Datuk Sri Haji Jinor. In other news, the ASEAN Power Grid Financing Initiative, or APGF, is expected to fully realize its vision of a connected and sustainable regional power network by 2045. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the fund, approved by ASEAN member states, aims to drive green financing and accelerate cross-border energy investments. He said the APGF will serve as a dedicated platform to facilitate viable projects and fast-track infrastructure financing for regional energy grids, both on land and undersea.
Ambition must be matched with resources. The APG requires sustained investment and innovative financing.
Anwar was speaking at the launch of the ASEAN Energy Business Forum on Thursday. He added that the initiative was developed in collaboration with the Asian Development Bank and the World Bank. Beyond attracting green investments, the development of the grid is also expected to create quality job opportunities and position ASEAN as a regional hub for clean energy industries and technology. Malaysia has called for the strengthening of the One ASEAN SME initiative to better connect entrepreneurs, investors and innovators across the region. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the movement should target emerging growth areas such as high technology, halal trade and digital services. Speaking at the SME venture at ASEAN 2025 in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday, Zahid said the spirit of regional cooperation must be preserved as it is crucial to a vibrant, borderless and resilient small and medium enterprise or SME ecosystem.
Let this movement become the heartbeat of our regional economy, a catalyst that empowers our people, strengthens our resilience and propels ASEAN into the next frontier of growth.
He added that the initiative could create more job opportunities, drive innovation, and enhance the quality of life for communities. ASEAN has a population of 680 million, with over 70 million SMEs contributing 44.8% to the region's economy and accounting for 85% of total employment. The growth of financing loans to micro, small and medium enterprises or MSMEs is significantly higher than that of large companies. Now, a report by Maybank Investment Bank shows that as of August, loans to MSMEs grew by 7.9%, outpacing the overall industry loan growth rate. This clearly indicates that local banks are becoming more proactive in supporting small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. The report also revealed that loans to MSMEs recorded the fastest growth, expanding by more than 11% during the period under review. Overall, MSMEs employ nearly half of the country's workforce, about 8.1 million people, and contribute almost 40% to the gross domestic product. India's goods exports to the U.S., its largest foreign market, dropped sharply by 20% in September and nearly 40% in the last 4 months as Trump's steep tariffs took effect. September was the first full month of Washington's 50% tariffs on Indian goods, which kicked in on August 27th. This includes a 25% penalty for Delhi's refusal to stop buying oil from Russia. However, U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday announced that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had agreed to stop buying Russian oil. This is expected to help ease the tension as both nations aim to conclude their trade deal by next month.
The East Coast Economic Region Development Council is shaping Malaysia's industrial future. From building advanced manufacturing hubs to leading carbon capture initiatives, ECERDC is driving investment and sustainability, powering Malaysia's journey toward net zero. Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah speaks with ECERDC Chief Operating Officer Datuk Ragu Sampasivan, only on Money Matters, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Police seize drugs worth over 14 million ringgit. This and more after this breather.
If you don't understand, this is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. Hey, Pedro.
मेरी जिंदगी के बारे में जानते क्या? पति ने मारा है बॉयफ्रेंड ने?
पति ने
फ्रेंड। मॉम, मुझे आपसे प्राइवेटली कुछ बातें करनी है।
Apabila datang, ia boleh mengambil alih kesemuanya tubuh, minda dan hidup anda. Stres bukan sekadar tekanan perasaan tetapi boleh mengancam kesihatan secara keseluruhan. Kenalilah tanda-tanda stres sejak awal dan bincang mengenainya secara terbuka. Dapatkan sokongan moral dan emosi daripada orang di sekeliling anda serta bantuan profesional di saluran yang betul. Saksikan Hello Doktor Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3.
Jalan-jalan, cari makan.
Gendang-gendut tali kecapi. Cari kari, dapat hadiah lagi.
Memang puas hati.
Misi menangi kari dah bermula. Tak sabarnya nak menang.
Kari, kari, kari.
Nak tahu syarat-syarat penyertaan? Senang je. Pergi ke laman media sosial TV3 Malaysia untuk maklumat lanjut.
Sur, padu.
Dan saksikan Jalan-Jalan Cari Makan setiap Ahad 11.30 pagi di TV3. Atau stream juga melalui tonton untuk peluang menang hadiah. Kari penuh rasa, hadiah penuh gaya.
Lawanan antara mentua dan menantu.
ஏன் சோஃபி நீ சாப்பிடுற?
இல்ல நான் செஞ்சு சாப்பிடுங்க.
சாப்பிடு.
அவ்வளவுதானே?
ஆமா.
சாப்பிடு.
எப்ப ரெண்டு பேரும் எனக்கு பேரப்பிள்ளை கொடுக்க போறீங்க?
Mak mentua dah sibuk nak cucu.
Bukan uncle lah cuti, asyik kerja saja.
Menantu pula dah pening selalu.
எவ்வளவு நாளைக்கு தான் நான் அந்த மாதிரி மாந்தி எடுத்து நடிச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன் சொல்லுங்க.
Istimewa Hari Deepavali, Rava Tose. Sabtu ini 10 malam di Cureka Rama TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui tonton.
Thanks for staying with us. Selangor police have busted a drug trafficking syndicate following the seizure of 325 kilograms of shabu and ketamine worth over 14 million ringgit. The operation also led to the arrest of 5 local individuals, including a married couple. Federal Police Narcotics Crime Investigation Department, or NCID Director Dato' Hussein Umar Khan, said the suspects, aged between 29 and 38, were arrested in a series of raids across the Klang Valley. He explained that the first raid, conducted at a terrace house in Batu Caves, led to the arrest of the married couple.
Pemeriksaan lanjut ke atas rumah tersebut berjaya merampas 197 bungkusan plastik berisi dadah disyaki jenis kentamin, anggaran berat lebih kurang 200 kg dan dadah dan 121 bungkusan plastik berisi dadah disyaki jenis methamphetamine, anggaran berat 125 kg.
Police then conducted the second and third raids at a condominium in Wangsamaju, which led to the arrest of the remaining 3 suspects. The syndicate is believed to have sourced its drug supplies from the north and used homes in the Klang Valley as storage sites before distributing them to local markets. All 5 suspects have been remanded for 7 days to facilitate further investigations for drug trafficking. Now, the recent case of rape involving students at a school in Baling Kedah has been reclassified as statutory rape and not gang rape. State Police Chief Dato' Azli Abu Shah said while the 15-year-old victim may have given her consent to engage in sexual acts with the suspects, she is underage and cannot be considered mature enough to understand the consequences of her act. Azli said the case has therefore been classified as statutory rape under Section 376 of the Penal Code, as well as Section 8 of the Sexual Offences Against Children Act for the dissemination of child pornography. He added that the victim had sex with each of the 4 suspects at various locations, including an empty classroom, an oil palm estate, and at her home.
Salah seorang suspek ni telah melakukan hubungan seks ni 4 kali di kelas pada waktu petang. Dan selebihnya, kita dapati mangsa ni malam berhubungan melalui perhubungan WhatsApp kita ada dan telah melakukan perkara yang sama di kawasan ladang kelapa sawit yang berdekatan dengan sekolah dan juga rumah.
The 4 accused, aged 15 to 17, are students from the same school, with one of them being the victim's boyfriend. One of the 4 suspects is a former student who was expelled, while the other 3 also face expulsion. Azli also confirmed there was no indication that the videos were being sold, only that they had been shared, including by the victim. In Malacca, 2 of the 4 male students accused of raping a Form 3 student and recording the act have been charged in the Alor Gajah Juvenile Court. Both accused, who are candidates for this year's SPM examination, face charges of gang rape, committing unnatural intercourse, and physical sexual assault. Only one of them pleaded guilty to all 3 charges, while the other student pleaded not guilty and claimed trial. The offences were allegedly committed inside a classroom at a secondary school in Alor Gajah at around 2:50 p.m. on September 30th. The first accused, who pleaded not guilty and was represented by lawyer Chua Yong Yi, requested a lower bail amount, citing health issues following sinus surgery and a hernia condition. The second accused, represented by the National Legal Aid Foundation, also sought lower bail and expressed willingness to comply with any conditions set by the court. Magistrate Dr. Teo Shu Yi granted bail of 7,000 ringgit each. The court fixed November 26 for the submission of documents for the first accused and a character report for the second prior to sentencing. Medics find signs of torture on Palestinian bodies returned by Israel. The details when Nightline returns.
Lawanan antara mentua dan menantu.
ஏன் சோஃபி நீ சாப்பிடுற?
இல்ல நான் செஞ்சு சாப்பிடுங்க.
சாப்பிடுற. அவ்வளவுதானே? ஆமா. சாப்பிடுற. எப்ப ரெண்டு பேரும் எனக்கு பேரப்பிள்ளை கொடுக்க போறீங்க?
Mak mentua dah sibuk nak cucu.
Bukan uncle lah cuti, asyik kerja saja.
Menantu pula dah pening selalu.
எவ்வளவு நாளைக்கு தான் நான் அந்த மாதிரி மாந்தி எடுத்து நடிச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன் சொல்லுங்க.
Istimewa Hari Deepavali, Rava Tose. Sabtu ini 10 malam di Cureka Rama TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headline.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
MHI minggu ini.
Belanjawan 2026 terus memperkasa rakyat dan memacu ekonomi madani.
Wabak influenza semakin mengganas. Jaga kesihatan diri anda dan keluarga.
Nak buat konten di media sosial pun kena ada adab dan etikanya. Bukan main tercharge je.
Tidak lagi makanan proses dijual di kantin sekolah. Amalkan pemakanan yang berkhasiat.
Miskin selepas bersara, di manakah silapnya?
Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi.
Eksklusif di TV3 dan Tonton.
Hadirnya membuat aku tersenyum semula.
अमन हेलो
पति ने मारा है बॉयफ्रेंड ने पति का नाम
अरे हरिप्रसाद चौरासिया मुझे क्या मालूम पति का नाम क्या है
Tapi tidak semua hati mampu dimiliki.
फ्रेंड
Bila takdir berkata tidak.
एक्चुअली मुझे उसके खुले बाल ज्यादा अच्छे लगते हैं
1, 2, 3, go!
Kalho Naho, Ahad ini 9 malam di TV3 Blockbuster dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
We're back with the foreign front. Preparations are underway between Egypt and Israel to open the Rafah border crossing as aid agencies demand that Israel allow an influx of desperately needed aid into the enclave. Israel's military aid agency Kogat said preparations are underway to reopen the border for people to return to Gaza, reaffirming that aid would not be allowed entry through Rafah but through separate border crossings with Israel. UN agencies meanwhile have demanded that the Rafah border crossing be opened for aid. As the fragile ceasefire holds, Gaza's hospitals have received at least 14 Palestinians killed by Israel since dawn. Meanwhile, Gaza's health ministry on Wednesday said it had received the remains of 45 Palestinians who were held in Israeli custody via the International Committee of the Red Cross, bringing the total number of bodies returned to 120 as part of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire deal. The forensics team described disturbing conditions bearing signs of physical abuse. Medical sources said some of the Palestinian bodies were blindfolded and handcuffed, indicating that field executions may have taken place. Many appeared decomposed or burnt, some were missing limbs or teeth, while others were coated in sand and dust. The Zionist regime is expected to hand over more bodies, though officials have not said how many are in its custody or how many will be returned. At the same time, U.S. President Donald Trump indicated on Wednesday that he had authorized a covert CIA operation in Venezuela and said he was considering strikes on alleged drug cartels on land.
Why did you authorize the CIA to go into Venezuela? And is there more information you can share about these strikes on the alleged
Well, I can't
drug
do
busts in
that,
the
but
Caribbean?
I authorized for two reasons, really. Number one, they have emptied their prisons.
Trump made the remarks to reporters accusing President Nicolas Maduro of running a narco-terrorist regime and sending criminals to the U.S. His comments prompted fury from Maduro, who condemned what he called a CIA-led coup and ordered military exercises after another U.S. strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 27 people have been killed in recent U.S. attacks on vessels in the region. Still in the U.S., now dozens of journalists covering the Defense Department have vacated their offices in the Pentagon and returned their credentials as new restrictions on press access took effect. The Pentagon earlier set a Tuesday deadline for media outlets to sign a new access policy or lose their credentials and workspaces. At least 30 news organizations refused to sign, calling the move a threat to press freedom and independent reporting. Under the policy, journalists must acknowledge rules that allow officials to revoke badges if reporters ask staff to disclose classified or certain unclassified information. Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell defended the policy, saying it's about protecting troops and national security, and accused reporters of overreacting. On to sports now. Badminton and the 2025 Denmark Open. Malaysian shuttlers continued their impressive form in the Super 750 tournament, with 3 of 5 national representatives storming into the quarterfinals on Thursday.
All eyes were on Tan Wee Kiong and Nur Muhammad Azrin Ayub, who pulled off the biggest upset of the day, stunning reigning world champions and top seeds Kim Won-ho and So Seung-jae 21-19, 21-12 in just 34 minutes. The Malaysian duo will next face China's Liang Wei-keng and Wang Chang for a place in the semifinals. In mixed doubles, world champions Cheng Tang-ji and To Yi-wei secured Malaysia a last 4 spot after dismantling China's Gao Jiashuan Wu Mingying 21-14, 21-11. Their victory sets up an all-Malaysian semi-final against Goh Sun-huat and Siobhan Lai, who earlier beat Japan's Yuichi Shimogami and Sayaka Hobara 21-13, 21-18. But it was the end of the road for women's doubles duo Pearly Tan and MT Naa, who fell in straight sets to Japan's Chiharu Shida and Arisa Igarashi.
Turning to squash, the 2025 Silicon Valley Open. Malaysia's ace Sivan Sagari came close to claiming her second title of the year, but fell to American Olivia Weaver on the final on Wednesday.
The third seed put up a strong fight against the top seed and home favorite, but the defending champion proved too strong as Siva Sanghari went down 10-12, 11-4, 4-11, 4-11 at the squash zone in Redwood City, California. The result extends Weaver's dominance, having now won 8 of their last 9 encounters. Siva Sanghari, who lifted the Cincinnati Gainer Cup in February, will next feature in the U.S. Open in Philadelphia from October 19th to 25th.
And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim spending some time in brickfields observing preparations as Hindus gear up to celebrate Deepavali. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for watching and stay safe.